Recording in progress.
Okay, sir.
Are you able to understand, or is it only your requirement, or something different your question is?
Yes, sir. Actually, I need to try also once again because I've tried the example which you have.
Yeah, just try it. If you find any issues, just let me know.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Sir, once we complete the course, maybe in a week time or so, can we conduct one more class so that if somebody can practice and we have any doubts, we can clarify that.
Yeah, these classes will go up to 11. Okay, so that 4th and 5th will take. You can practice the next 10 days. You can come up with your questions. 11 and 12. 11th and 12th will take. Okay.
Okay.
4th and 5th and 11th and 12th also will take.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Okay, you can practice. You can get some more time, right? 10 days or 1 week. You can practice. You can find some other things also. What we not discussed, just let me know. We'll discuss.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? If not, we can start with Hooke's concept. Can I start? Okay. 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 The next thing. Why we go for hooks? First of all, tell me, if Hooke's not there, what are the differences you found from class component to my functional component? What differences you found? Can anyone? Okay, if the Hooke's not there, just leave it. So far we discussed so many things, right? We use it like a class components, we use it like a functional component. What differences you found? Function. Can anyone? Okay, here inside my class component, okay, my constructor is there. Inside my functional component, constructor is not there. Okay, simple example. Next, inside my class component, inside the constructor, what you return? Some of the variables you return. Okay, this dot state like that. Okay, here my state is there. Here my state is there. But here there is no state, nothing or not. There is no state, nothing. Okay, that is the reason. Before introducing the hooks, we can say like my class components are like a stateful components. We can say like my functional components are like stateless components. Okay, this statement valid when? Before introducing the hooks. Okay, once my hooks introduced to this world, we can use the state inside my functional component also. How we can? I will tell you. The next one. One more thing. If you observe life cycle methods, yes or no? Life cycle methods, they are inside my class component, but here any life cycle methods will be fine. Okay, there is no life cycle methods, nothing or not. See? There is no life cycle methods, nothing. Yes or no? Okay, how many ways we can create the class? Can anyone tell? Okay, I'm asking JavaScript question. Okay, how many ways we can create a class? 2 ways. Okay, one is like what? By using class keyword. Another one is like what? And by using what? Another one is like what? By using a function. Or not. These functional classes we can say like what? Constructor classes or not. Okay, if you come here, go to my console, see. This is my class here. Okay, here I have a constructor. Okay, here I want to write one simple message like constructor called yes. Done. If I create an object at the time, yes, my constructor called or not. At the time of creating an object, which method called? That one we can say like what? Constructor or not. Same like this, we can create a class like a function also or not. My function itself acting like a class, right? Yes or no? Okay, here I'm going to write one message like, okay, called. Done. Now, if it is acting like a class, can I create an object for this particular class? Okay, how we can create like this or not? At the time of creating an object, which method called, that one we can say like what, constructor or not. At the time of creating an object, this method called, this one we can say like a constructor. At the time of creating an object for this particular functional class, my function called or not, so that this function itself acting like what, constructor or not, so that we can call this type of classes like what, constructor classes or not. Agreed or not? So in your functional component, my function itself acting like a constructor or not. Agreed with this statement? So that you said like constructor is there in your class component, constructor is not there in your functional component. It's not a value. Why? Because my function itself acting like a constructor or not. My function itself acting like a constructor. Yes or no? Okay. Now you can say these two differences. One is like state is not there. Okay, state is not there in your functional component, as well as life cycle methods also not there. Okay, how many phases we discussed? Multiple life cycle methods we discussed, but phases tell me. One is like mounting. One is like what? Mounting phase or not. Another one is like updating. The next one is like what? Unmounting. These are the three phases or not. Another one is like exception handling, leaving. These phases also we missed here or not. Okay. Now after introducing the hooks, okay, those people said like this: whatever we can do with the class component. After introducing the hooks, they gave the statement like this: whatever we can do with the class component, yes, now onwards we can do with the functional component also. Okay, now onwards what? My functional component is not a mute component. Okay, you can perform some operation on this particular DOM or not. Okay, on this particular DOM or not. Okay, what are the benefits means? See, you have to write some more code. If it is like a class component, if it is like a function, always like what? Okay, it's like a consistent, right? Okay, minimum lines of code you can write it. Comparing with class component, my function is easy to call or not. Yes or no? If it is like a class, there has multiple methods over there. If you want to call a method, you have to create an object and then you have to call it. Always my function is like what? Simply you can call it. There is no object creation. Nothing is required. Understand or not? Now, so you can see how many hooks they introduce. See, all drawbacks, whatever the drawbacks are there, all drawbacks should overcome with these hooks now. Okay, some extra benefits also they provided, some extra hooks also they provided. That one also we can see. The first one is like one of the hook called as a use state is the hook. I will tell one line answers, all these things. Why we go for hook? Okay, just the next one is like use effect is the hook. Okay, the next one is like use riff is my hook. Okay, the next one is like use context. Okay, the next one is like use reducer. Okay, the next one is like use memo. The next one is like use callback. Okay, these are the hooks they provided. By using these hooks, we can overcome the problem. Whatever you find, okay, comparing with class component to my functional component, we can overcome those problems, as well as we can get some benefits also, extra things they provided. Okay, one word answers we'll see, one line answers. Use state. Why we go for use state? Very simple thing. Maintain a state at a component level. Okay, state management we can say. Okay, that means state management at component level. Okay, that means here you are using like a state, right? This is my component, right? Okay, now if you want to manage the state at functional component, what we are using? Use state hook or not? State management at the component level. Done. The next one, use effect. Okay, using these hooks, we can manage the life cycle phases. Okay, how many phases are there? Mounting phase is there, updating phase is there, unmounting phase is there. These three phases we can manage by using use effect hook. So use effect hook go for what? Why we go for use effect? To manage life cycle methods. Okay, the next one, use reference. Okay, add the reference, just create a reference. Okay, you know, right, how to create a reference. How you can create your own reference? Can anyone tell how you can create your own reference? React.createRef is the method. React.createRef is the method. By using that one, you can create a reference. Now you can use this hook also to create your own references. The next one, use context. Why we go for context? Can anyone tell why we go for context? Okay, context. If you want to pass the data, from my parent to all children or not, from my parent to all children. Okay, so that three points I already discussed. Okay, what are those? First of all, create context, which is nothing but some space, you can say. Create context. The next one, once you created the context, what we have to do? Provide data to the context. Okay, the third one is what? Once you provide the data, who has the data? He provided. Who want to consume the data? Which children want to consume the data? We can consume the data from the context or not? Yes or no? Okay, these three things. Here, by using use context, we can consume the data. By using use context, what? We can consume the data. Create context, same. Provide the data to the context is like same. Okay, they give like a simple syntax to consume the data from the context. Okay, understand or not? Why we go for use context? I will tell each and every hook. Okay, we are going to discuss like one example. Okay, then you can understand. Okay, for now you should know by seeing this particular one. Okay, by reading this one, you should understand like why we go for this hook. Okay, so by using use context, we can consume the data from the context. Consume the data means, okay, already somebody provided the data to the context. Already somebody created the context. Someone provided the data to the context. Already those two things done. Okay, one children component want to consume the data. So by using this use context, we can do it. Generally, how we can consume? Can anyone guess? Can anyone tell me the syntax? ctx.consumer. This is your syntax or not? So no, if you remember, ctx.consumer. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, here let's take one callback function as an argument. It gives me the data and return one div. That data you can render here and return it or not. This is the one or not. Great. This is the callback method we given to my consumer. My consumer call this method again by passing data. Whatever the context data is there, that data is going to pass as an argument. Now the data you can take it, that data is going to render here or not. This much code you have to write. But by using use context within a single line, you can get the data from the context. How simple it is, we'll see. Understand? Up to okay or not? Okay, then the next one, use reducer. Okay, this is very, very important hook. Okay, by using use reducer hook, we can do two things. One is like state management at component level. Already this is done by another hook, right? Which hook? State management at component level. Here also state management at component level. Okay, both are like same, right? Okay, if both are like having the same functionality they provided, then the time, okay, which one we are going to check? Which one is the better one? Both are there, both hooks there. Which one is the better one? Okay, by using this use reducer, we can manage the state at component level effectively. Okay, comparing this one, we can manage the state at component level effectively. So that which one is the recommended one? Use state or use reducer? You can go with the use reducer. When you can go with the use reducer, I will tell. Okay, that is one thing. And one more important thing is state management application level. with the help of okay, with the help of one more hook called as a context. Can anyone tell this word somewhere you heard? What is this? State management at application level. That one done by Redux or not? That one done by Redux library or not? So by using use reducer without Redux library, we can manage the state at application level or not. We can manage the state at application level at same syntax. That is the reason I asked you to just read and come Redux topics and context. With the help of what? Use context hook or not? With the help of use context hook. Understand or not? State management at application level with the help of use context hook. The next one, use memo. Is use memo and use callback performance related hooks. For example, one method is that method is like keep on calling. Okay, that type of things may impact on your performance. Okay, if the method gives me some content, my virtual DOM, take care. Okay, there is no DOM changes, nothing is there. There is not effect on your performance. But why I need to call again and again? I don't want to do that one. That type of things are there. We can handle it. The use memo, okay, always works at variable level, performance related impacts. Because of this variable, okay, this was impact some, okay, this is impacting on your performance because of this variable. Okay, that type of things we can handle by using use memo. Okay, performance issues at variable level. Okay, performance related stuff at the variable level. Okay, this one is there, right? Okay, performance related stuff at methods or functions. Okay, any issues with the variables we can handle by using use memo. Any issues with the methods, we can say like, okay, we can say like what? By using use callback, we can handle it. The next one, React.memo is there. React.memo, it's not a hook. Okay, this is also performance related stuff. This is works at component level. See this. One component is there. Okay, if any each and every time it is keep on loading that component, then the time, okay, that type of things if you want to overcome, okay, just you can use like a use memo. How to use, I will tell. See this. It is a component level, performance related issues. If you want to handle, go with the use memo, React.memo. Component contains what? Some methods, some variables. That methods related issues are there, then we can go with the use callback. Okay, that variable related issues are there, then you can go with the use memo. These three are like we are going to use for what? Okay, to overcome performance issues, to overcome that performance issues. So this one leave it for now. Okay, we'll discuss last. These are the things are important. Now you get some idea, right? Which hook, what is the purpose? Use state hook. What is the purpose? To manage the state at component level. The next one, use effect hook. Manage lifecycle methods. To manage the lifecycle methods. The next one, use riff. It's like extra add-on, you can say. Already React.create riff is there. Okay, simply if you want to create your own reference, just you can create your own reference by using use riff. Use context. By using this hook, simply you can consume the data. Okay, already there, some syntax is there to consume the data, but it's like complex, seems like, so that they provided like an easy way. Okay, easy syntax. Okay, to consume the data from the context. Next one is like use reducer. Use reducer is used for what? State management at the component level. Comparing with the use state, we can effectively manage that one. How we can effectively manage, I will tell. The next one is what? By using use state, we can manage the state at application level also. When it can do single, it is not able to perform this operation with the help of use context. With the help of what? Use context, he is going to handle that one. State management at the application level. Understand or not? Use memo, performance related stuff handle on variables. Okay, performance issues handle on methods. React memo, performance issues on components. Understand or not? Shall we go with the first hook now? Use state. Okay, now my question is, can I use these hooks in my class components? Can I use these hooks in my class components? That is my question. Okay, no, not at all. Why? Because already these features are there in the class component. Then why I need to allow him to again use that hooks? My hooks only for functional components. Only for functional components. So whatever the drawbacks are there comparing with the class component, to overcome the drawbacks, just they introduced these hooks or not. So that my hooks only for functional components only. Okay, let's start first. Use state. Okay, right. First script source equals to Babel. Okay, 3, right? This is like what React development, and this is like React DOM. Okay, meanwhile, you can tell me one example with the class component. First, tell me one example with state variable. Simple example, tell anyone. Well, I will write this code. Okay, think simple example. This should use like a state variable. My script type equals to text Babel. Okay. Yeah. And then document get document dot get right ID of root. Done. Okay. Now somebody tell like increment and decrement counter. Somebody tell like update name. Okay, both will do. So the first write one class app, which is extends from React dot component. Okay, right. Come on. Increment and decrement they said. Okay, simply you can do one thing. If I click on the button, I want to increment the count. That's it. That count variable I want to manage it in the state variable. That's it. How we can start? One. First, what do you want me to do? Yeah, first constructor is required. Okay, constructor is required. Okay, otherwise generally go with the design first. Random. Okay, what do you want? What do you want? Okay, first one button is required. One button is required. One button. Click. Close your button. And then one H1 is required. Okay, this is my H1. This is my view. Okay, open with live server. Okay, gives me error. What is that error? Please go to console. Go to console. What's wrong with this? Unexpected token is said. React DOM.render. So this React DOM.render. This is the one, right? Now refresh my page. Yes, this is only my view. At the time of clicking on the button, this value has to increment. Okay, let's start. This value should not be hardcode. The value has to increment each and every time. Whatever the incremented value, that should be updated inside the browser or not. Then that variable should be what? State variable or not. So constructor over the next one. This dot state equals to my count is like 0. Now can I put this one? This dot state dot count. Okay, done. There's no errors, nothing. Now at the time of clicking on the button, can you write it? On click equals to this dot function, click dot bind of my current object is or not. Okay, here function click, here function click. Here what you have to do, this dot my set state is like what? My count. Okay, my previous count. What is my previous count? Count plus 1. My previous count is like state variable, count plus 1. Yes, done. Now working as expected or not. Now the same example I want by using functional component. by using functional component. See, everything you have to convert into a functional component. Okay, that's all. First, here app is my component. Okay, so that can we create one component? How you can create a component? Constant app, open one and close one. Yes, this part is done or not? Agreed? Next. Come on. Next. My component has to return some content, so that this is my content or not. This is my content. This is my content or not. So can we remove this one also now? Yes or no? Can I cut it? Can I copy this one? Can we come here? Can I paste here? Yes or no? Okay, here. What's wrong with this? Okay, we can think about this one later. First of all, design it. Yes. Okay. Now it's working or not? Yes. It's visible. Okay. Template ready. Now the next one. The next part. Can anyone? Where you want me to concentrate? The next part. Okay. On click event. On click event. Okay. At the time of clicking on the button, okay, one method has to execute, so that this is the method I want to declare. One method you can declare. Okay. This one will think later. One method has to declare here at the time of clicking on the button, so that can write like on click. On click. One method has to execute or not. So how you can write the method means don't think more. Write one normal method here. How you can write it? Constant function click. Open one and close one. That's it. Yes or no? One method you can write it. How you return the app, the same syntax you can follow. Same syntax you can follow. Can I write like alert? Is it really working or not? Yes, done. Can I refresh my page? Okay, it gives me some error. See this here, the method you have to specify or not. Tell me how you can specify. How you can specify the method here. On click always expecting what? Method or method call? Method. Method. So that method you have to keep here. Now tell me, in this particular method, this is the local variable, right? Constant function click. It's a local variable or not? The local variable I can use wherever you want inside this method or not. Agreed or not? Inside this particular function, constant function click is a local variable. Once local variable, scope is what? Here, line number 36 to line number 44. Wherever you want, you can use it or not. I want to use here. Okay, my on click requires function call or only function? My on click expecting what? Function or function call? Only function. If it is like a function call, at first time load only it's going to call. Okay, so yeah, yes. Up to here, okay or not? Agreed or not? Okay, okay then. Here alert is not required for me. Alert is not required. Okay, come here. Okay, handling is done. Handling is done. Now, constructor part. Methods you can complete. First component you complete that, and then methods you can complete, and then variables you can complete. Okay, constructor. Can anyone tell? Constructor. I already discussed. Inside a class, ES6 class, the method is executed at the time of creating an object is like a constructor. So that we can say this method is like a constructor. But if it is like a function, at the time of creating an object, okay, this function itself called or not. So that this is only the constructor. Line number 36. Okay, line number 36. Whatever you code you written, that is acting like what? At the time of first time load only it is going to call or not. It's like a constructor or not. Agreed? You found the constructor place or not? Yes or no? If it is like a what? If it is like a functional component, my constructor is like what? My function body or not? Inside my function body, directly whatever the statement you written, that is inside constructor only you can say. Okay, so my constructor also ready now. Okay, this is my constructor ready. Okay, my function click also done. My function click also done. Now, super is required. Super is required. Inside my class component, it is like get the benefits from another class. Okay, so that this is acting like a super class. For my functional component, any super class is there? Nothing. So that is it required? Not required. Leave it. Understand or not? So for good. Okay, now you have to convert these things. Okay, once you convert, done. My requirement is completed. Before that, can anyone answer this question? I have one function is there, yeah. I have one function. Yes. This is taking one variable. Initial data. Okay. Now here I have one variable is there in that equals to init data. I have one more function is there. Or function, whatever you can write. Okay, set n. Okay. Now he is going to give some data. That data I'm going to paste here. And finally, you have to tell about this method. N comma set n. Syntactically, it's a valid or not? First tell. Syntactically, it's a valid or not? Okay. Wait. I will write one more example here. Function return n comma 20. It's a valid or not? Syntactically. Syntactically, it's a valid or not? Now, can I click on enter? No error, nothing. If I call this one, say this, which value is going to give? It doesn't returns. Okay, that means it's not throw any exception or error something. Okay, it returns me what? Okay, one value like this or not, the latest one. Okay, but I need those two values also. Okay, then I need those two values also. I have some work with those two. Can anyone? I need those two values. Can anyone? Come on. Perfect. Okay, just wrap like an array or an object. Oh, sorry, go with the array. Okay, here. Okay, this is my F1. Perfect. Now, same like object destructuring, my array destructuring also there. You know that one? Array destructuring. Okay, any method returns an array. That array we can hold like this. Okay, how many values it's going to return? How many values you can return? Two values, right? One value and it is like second value. So if I click on this, my A value is what now? 10. My B value is like what? 20. Like this also we can handle it. Agreed or not? Yes, this is also correct. If you want to get these values, F1 of 0, F1 of 1, like this you can take it. It's a general way. Okay, now one function returns an array, we can hold like this also. Okay, whatever the values you pass, with these references you can hold that one. Directly you can use like A and B now or not. Agreed? Agree with this syntax? Yes or no? Now, by seeing this syntax, you can say, this is valid or invalid. Okay, two values also I want. Okay, then the time, can I get like two values or latest value only I can get it? Only I can get the latest value or not. Then the time, it should be inside what? Okay, inside an array. Yes. Inside an array. Agreed? Okay. Now, if I call my F1, with what? If I call my F1 with nothing. Okay, you are not passing anything, is nothing but my initial data is like what? Undefined. N is what? N assigned with what? Undefined. So my N value is like undefined. My set N is like a function or not. So my F1 returns me what? An array which contains how many elements? Two elements. One is like a number, another one is like one variable, you can say. One is like one variable, another one is like one function or not. If I pass like this, okay, some data, now it's coming like this or not. Now, you can get it. By using destructuring, can you do one thing? Okay, how we can? By using destructuring. Come on. Constant. Yes, that's it. Okay, how many values he is passing? A comma B. Okay, tell me, my A type is what and my B type is what? my A is like what? A number 10. So because this 10 only, right? Go to my initial data. The initial data only, right? Assign to my N. My N only my return value or not. So that my first array value is like A. My A value is like 10 or not. What about the B value? Whatever the B value, my B value is like one function or not. Yes or no? Now, simply, I can change the names now. I can change the names simple. Okay, if I change the name like this, now tell me, my set state method take how many arguments? Okay, not set state, sorry, use state. My use state method take how many arguments? One argument. What is the type of that argument? Anything. 10 you can pass, array you can pass, object you can pass, whatever it is. Okay, that one just assigned to my N or not. My use state returns me what? 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 One array or not. You can say an array. Returns me an array. Okay, inside that array, okay, which elements the return means, then the time you can say like one variable, one function or not. My use state also looks like this only. Okay, this is only the syntax. But what is the initial data? All these things we'll see now. Understand syntactically? Okay, perfect. Now, first of all, what we have to do? Inside the constructor, I should have to create this variable or not. Okay, inside this, three parts are there if you observe clearly. One is like one variable name, yes or no? Understand? Variable name. Variable name is like what? Okay, next. Variable initial data, init data is like what? 0. Okay, the next one. Its variable is inside where? It's like a state variable or not. Type of the variable is like state or not. Three parts are there if you observe. Okay, the variable type is like state, the variable name is like count, the initial data is like 0 or not. First, state you can mention. Okay, how we can tell one variable is like a state variable means inside your hooks, we have one hook is there. Which hook? Use state is the hook. By using this use state, you can say like it's like a state variable. Okay, so that first one, this part is equals to this one now. This part is equals to what? This one. Okay, if you want to declare a state variable, you are using like this dot state member. Okay, this dot state member, which is coming from React dot component. If you want to create a state variable, you are using what? Okay, use state. This use state is coming from React library. React dot use state. React dot use state. Okay, done. Now tell me, my React dot use state take how many arguments? Can anyone guess? Take how many arguments? Come on, I already discussed it, right? Okay, here use state take how many arguments? One argument, that is the initial data or not. So that what is my initial data here? 0. So that my initial data is done. Okay, so my initial data is done. Okay, the next part is what? This initial data is for which variable? Is for which variable? Count variable or not? Count variable or not? So that my use state returns me what? 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 It's an array or not. So that can be destructuring. Like array, first variable is what? First element. First element is what? First element, one variable, right? That variable is your state variable name. That's it. Okay, now this one is equals to this. Any questions in the syntax? React.use state represent your state variable. Whatever the data you are going to pass, that is like initial data. For which variable? For which variable? The count variable. Whatever you pass, the first element is like a count variable or not. Okay, done. This is equals to this one. So that where you want me to write this dot state dot count, where you want me to write? Can anyone? Inside the constructor, right? Inside the constructor, right? You only said my constructor is nothing but what? This one only or not? Yes, you created one state variable. Now tell me, that state variable I want to use here or not? Again, this is the variable inside my app function. So that my scope of this particular variable is a local, is nothing but 36 to 45. Wherever you want, you can use it or not. Can we use here? Can we use here? Done. Now say this. This is not a hard coded now. This is the use state variable or not. Okay, done. This part also completed or not. Next, what is the last one? What is the last one? You have to update your state variable or not. And if you want to update the state variable, which method is that? Set state method, which is coming from where? This is nothing but what? An object. Here there is no object, nothing. Why? Because it's not a class. So my set state, these all things not there. But my requirement is that one only. I want to update the state variable. Then that time. Okay, already I told you this particular use state returns me what? This particular use state returns me what? One array which contains how many arguments? Okay, how many elements? 2 elements or not. Now, my first element is your state variable. My second element is what? What is the type of the second element? Can anyone guess? My second element type is what? A function or not. A function or not. So that, see this. If you return some value from here, you can hold with any names or not. Any problem with this? You can hold with any names or not. X, comma, Y, anything. X is this one, Y is this one, anything. You can put it or not. But naming convention purpose, here my count is the variable name. Here, do you want me to put like X or Y, Z like this? Don't put like this. Naming convention. Okay, it's a function which is used for what? You know, this is working like this particular function. This function used for what? Set or update the data to my state variable or not. Which state variable? Count. So that give the proper name here. The function name, can I put like set count? Any problem? I said like X, Y, Z, you can put it, no problem at all. But naming convention purpose, this function I'm using for what? Set the count state variable, set the data to my count state variable or not. So that, can I put like set count? Any problem? Okay, now set count type is what? Set count type is what? Set count type is what? Function or not? This function is acting like your set state. Okay, perfect. Okay, my set state is a function, but set count also function. You can call it. Okay, now tell me. My set state function, what you provided? Can anyone guess? One object you provided. One object you provided. Okay. Now, inside this object, what we have? One variable is there. That variable value is there. Okay, that value is going to update to my count or not. Why it's object? You know, very simple. Okay, my this dot state. You can write how many variables? How many variables you can write it? N1 is 1, N2 is like 20. Like this, any number of state variables you can write within one single state or not. This dot state or not. Yes or no? So that my set state also used for what? To update any number of state variables or not. So update multiple state variables, how we can differentiate? This is the first variable, this is the second variable, how we can differentiate? By using a keys. That's the reason my N1 is like 100, my N2 is like 200, my N3 is like 300. But here, see this, my set count, okay, here my set state, I don't know exactly which state variable has to update. That's the reason you have to give the state variable name and its value. State variable name and its value. It's not only specific to one state variable. Why? Because it's like multiple state variables are there. Set state method used for what? Update the multiple state variables. Okay, but my set count, can anyone guess? My set count is specific to update what? Count only or not? Agreed? My set count specific to update what? Count variable only. Then the time there is no need to tell to this guy, hey, can you update the count? This is only for count. Then there why I need to pass like a count 100 or something. There is no need to pass or not. So here my count equals to this dot state dot count, right? Count plus 1, right? Here there is no need to pass count. Okay, so that this is only you have to pass it or not as a argument. Now tell me, my this dot state dot count, this dot state dot count, okay, is there? My this is there, my state is there? No. What is there? Count only or not? So that this particular one you have to pass, you have to keep inside this one or not. See, my set count is the method. It is used to update the count. With which count you want me to update? Current count is what? 0 plus 1. That's it. Now can you come here? Can I refresh my page? Okay. Yeah, working as expected or not? Agreed? Each and every line we converted or not? Yes or no? Which one is the simple one? Which one is the simple one? Obviously, the second one only or not? Obviously, the second one only or not? Yes or no? Okay, if you want to decrement, then can anyone guess? Decrement. Okay, another button you can try. Another button, right? Function increment. This is what? Function decrement. This is what? Increment click. Increment click. This is what? Decrement click or not? Okay. If you have 100 state variables, and that time I already told you. See this. State management at component level effectively. I said right. Then that time my use reducer we can use. More variables are there. Okay. 4 or 5 variables are there. You can go with the use state. More variables are there. Then you can go with what? No need to write each and every time use state, use state, use state. By using use reducer, we can manage the state effectively. That's the reason I said effectively at component level. Okay. We'll see that. Okay, right. Increment and decrement. Okay, how many methods are there? This is for increment. The next one. Come on. This is for decrement or not? Okay, decrement, what you have to do? You have to get the count and minus 1 you can make it. That's it. Now come here. Yeah, increment the count and decrement the count. Done or not? Agreed or not? Okay, see, you are performing the operation on the same variable. Variable not changed. Variable not changed. Then that way I need to write one more hook. Why you need to write one more hook? Okay? Okay then, shall we go with the next example? Shall we go with the next example? Okay, my requirement is one login page I want. Login page. At the time of clicking on the button, okay, I want to take the data from the username text box and password text box. Just data should be in this format. Username is like Sachin and my password is like, okay, this one. So password is like SSS. Like this. My data format should be like this. Okay. I have one login page there. You are taking the data, right? Okay. At the time of clicking on the button, my data format should be like this. Yesterday we discussed already. That is okay. By using hooks, I want now. Okay, come on. Use step 2.html. Now can I come here? Can I copy this stuff? Can I copy this one? But this is not required for now. First complete with the state variable, the class component. And then we can think about the functional one. Next, come on. Anyone suggest the requirement is like this. My DOM should be like this. Where I can indicate my name is this one, this is my text box, below this one, but my brand. And the one is like, okay, user ID, right? UI you can take UI. The next one is like password. Okay, you can take like input. Now this is my button. Okay, the state is one. This is my button. Function what? Login. Function login. At the time of clicking on this particular button, I want to show this data console.log this my data object. Okay, this is my data object. My data object type is what? My data object type is like object. Okay, see, okay or not? What's missing? What is missing? What do you want me to do? Will it work? Will it work as you expected? Will it work? Okay, if you run this one, open with live server. Okay, inspect this one. This is my login page. Okay, console. If I enter something here, go to my console. Where is that? My data. Where is my data? Huh? My data is inside where? Input. Okay, here input. Can we take the data? How we can? Come on. Don't change. Don't use this on change. You can use it. Okay, this dot function change dot bind of my current object. Okay, here also there has a function change. Okay, this is my function change or not? Yes or no? Okay, next. Next. Come on, any other? Huh? Okay, event dot. Okay, I need the event object. Event dot target. Target. It gives me what? Okay, it gives me one object or not. Okay, inside this object, my value is there. What is the next one? Only value is enough, or keys also required? What is the keys? What he is expecting? The data should be user ID and password, like this. Keys required or not? So, come on. Anyone? Name attribute. Okay, perfect. I don't want any attribute. Then I don't want any attribute. Still, I want to pass the data. Then, I want to pass some data to this particular function. That's it. Okay. So attribute I don't want. Then can I put the debugger? Okay. No problem. Come here. So enter some data. Okay. Yes. My function change trigger. This is my event object. Okay. Perfect. Okay. This method called from where? From here on, right? While calling this method, can you pass the data? Yes or no? While calling this method, can we pass the data to this particular method through arguments or parameters? My function change.bind. My function change.bind. Okay, it returns me what? The same function or not? Okay, my bind method, the first one is take like an argument. Which argument? My current object. Which object you want me to make it available? Second argument you can put like, yes, your data. Okay, which arguments you want me to pass it? Yes, you can pass like this also. You can pass like this also. Okay, now can I refresh my page? Now, if I enter some data here, see my event is like UID. So, do you want me to use this event is like EV is like UID? Do you want me to use like that? No. Here, you are passing one argument so that argument you can handle here. This is my key. My last argument always what? Your event object or not? Your event object. So, come here. Okay, now if I enter some data, yes, my key is like user ID, my event is this one or not? Here, okay, my key is like password, my event is like this one or not? Yes, my keys are there now. Once you have the keys, then what do you want me to do? This dot set state, my data, but data object is like what? My current data. This dot state dot my data object. This is my current data. This is my key. This is my value or not. Then requirement. Okay, this is the one. This is the one. Go to this. Yes. Agreed? Can we convert into functional component using hooks? Can we do this? Okay, do it. Now close this. Right. First, my class or function constant. Yeah. This is my component. Yes, ready. Next, one by one. Content. This is my content. Yes, this is my content. What changes you want me to do? Bind is there. Bind is there. Bind is required. Okay, bind is not required. So that for now, just leave it. Leave this. All these things, leave it. Okay, this one you can leave it. This one you can leave it. Okay, this one you can start. Okay, which method you want me to execute? Function login. Function login. Can we create the function? Okay, how many functions are required? Constant function login is one function. Next, constant. Okay, function change is like one more function. Okay. Okay, next. Two functions I created. Unstructured. State variable can we create? What is the state variable name? What is the state variable name? In the past is like count. Now it's like a data object. Count is like 0. Now my empty object. So that can we create one state variable? How we can? React dot use state. Default value. Default value. Empty object or not. Empty object or not. Okay. Here. Constant. Is destructuring or not? What is my variable name? Data object is my variable name or not? Second argument is what? You want to write, you can write it now itself. Second argument is what? One function. Okay, naming convention purpose. Set, just add it. To my variable, set, you can add it. Set. Okay, done. All ready. I created a state variable. I created two functions. One of the functions is going to call at the time of clicking on the button. Okay. That time, what do you want me to show? My console.log of data object or not. Now, can you come here? Can you come here? If I enter something, yeah, yes. You not taken the data or not? How? Right. Oh, yeah. Next. Anyone? Can anyone do that? Set the data object. First of all, function change is there, right? Function change. So do this on change. Yes. Right. I don't want attribute here itself. Here also I don't want attribute. Then anyone. Okay, set the data. Where is my set data? Where do you want me to write? Very simple. Yeah. By nothing is there, right? On change expecting what? Function or function call first. On change expecting what? Function or function call. Tell me. On change or any event expecting what? Any event expecting what? Function call. Function. Expecting a function. Function call means parenthesis. Function, right? Function. So that it's also function, right? It's also function or not? It is also a function or not? Yes or no? It is also a function or not? Okay. Which function this is? One anonymous callback function. So if you triggered any event, this method is going to call or not? If you triggered any event, this method is going to call or not? Once my event is triggered, the event handler last argument is what? Event handler last argument is what? Okay, perfect. Event. So here, who is the event handler? Direct event handler who? Function change or arrow function? Which one is the event handler now? In this case. Okay, if you write the function change here, in this case, function change is the event handler. In this case, my arrow is my event handler or not? Arrow is my event handler. So that here my arrow function is an event handler. So my arrow function contains what? Okay, my first argument, and this is my event. So this method is going to execute it. So method body is this one only, right? After the arrow, this is on the method body, right? Here can we call my function change? Any problem with this code? See, I given this function. It's not a function call. Function only. I given this function to my on change. If anybody trigger this event, he call this function. Inside this function, inside my body, function change call is there, so that my function change is going to execute or not. My function change is going to execute or not. Now, here what you want? Here what you require? Inside my function change, what you require? Key as well as event. So that here, can we pass your key? My event is what? It's my event, right? Can we use that event? Syntactically, if you have any questions, let me know. Agreed or not? Yes or no? Okay, whenever you trigger this event, only one statement is there. There is no need to write the parenthesis. So that just you can write like the function change statement. Okay, this is my body now. Okay, in this body, I am calling this function change by passing two arguments. What are those? One is like key, another one is like what? Event or not. Okay, Here, can't we call directly? Okay. If we call like this, what happened? At the time of loading itself, my function change is going to call, right? He is expecting what? Function call or function? He is expecting a function, my function change. Okay, if you put like this, yeah, you can put it, no problem at all. No problem at all. If you pass like this, then that time my UID is going here when? At first time load. Do you want at first time load or any changes are happened, then you want me to call it? When you want me to call it? Any changes are happened, then you have to call it or not. So that first of all, give one function to this guy. This is my function. Okay. When this function is going to call, anybody change something. Okay. With what? Event as an argument. Inside this function body, what you want me to call? Function change I want to call. Okay. Here, how many arguments you want me to pass? 2 arguments. One is like UID, another one is like your event or not. Done. Once you get this, can anyone tell what code you want me to write? This code you have to write it or not? Come on. If you want to update your state variable, which variable? Data object state variable. By using this one, you can update it. Okay, here, next. Come on. State object is okay. Okay, there is no need to specify. There is no need to specify what? There is no need to specify data object. Directly, you can give this value or not. Directly, you can give this value or not. Here, my state is not required, just remove it. My previous data object, which contains how many? 1 property or 2 properties or 0 properties. Now this is my key and this is my value or not. That's it. Can it work or not, or this gives me an error? Okay, enter some value, Value is not defined. Where is that? Value is not defined, right? Where is my value? Event dot what? Target dot value. Event dot target dot value or not? Yes. Working as expected or not? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, right? Shall we go to the next one? Okay. Yeah, you can unmute, you can talk. If you have any doubts, just unmute and you can talk.
Yeah, sir. Here, on change event we have, right?
Yes.
So basically, any event we write, we can call function call, right? So here, why you have given event as an argument? I mean, just it's a question, just doubt I have.
See this. This is the event. Okay. Any event triggered. Okay. Any event triggered in your React, it is expecting what? One function, right? This is my function. This is my event handler now. If it is like an event handler, the first argument is what? Event, right? Okay. That is the argument I handled. Okay. With EVE or E, whatever it is. Which method directly pointing to my event? Which method is nothing but a which event handler pointing to binding with my event? That event handler, whenever it is going to call, that time we can get any event object. So that I taken that event object. Okay, that event object I want to pass to this guy. That's the reason I taken and give it to my function change. Got it or not? Okay, otherwise I will tell. Very simple. On click is there. On click. This is my function. This is my function. If I give this function, to this guy, on click is an event. My F1 is an event handler. Okay, now this is the direct event handler, right? Okay, so that this direct event handler, last argument is what? Event. Okay, so that you can take that event dot target dot whatever it is. It's like a named function you provided to this guy. Okay, now the same code you can write like this. On click. Here, what you are expecting? Function, right? Can I write the function like this? Any problem with this? This is also a function only, right? Okay, now who is the event handler now? In the past, F1 is the event handler, so that guy is going to get that event object directly. Now my on click, who is the event handler? This one or not? So that this guy get that event object or not? Yes or no? Okay. Now the body of this function is what? This is the one. This is the body. This is my body or not? Okay. Now at the time of clicking on this particular button, okay, this method is going to trigger. Okay, so that this method body is nothing but what? This part is going to execute or not? Is going to execute or not? So here I don't want to execute this alert. I want to execute this function. So that can we call this function? While calling this function, my event is recorded. Why? Because in the past event you are getting. Why? Because that one is like a direct event handler to this particular on click. But now it's not a direct event handler. This guy is the direct event handler. Still this method requires event. Then how we can? This event can you pass like an argument to that guy. Now once you trigger an event, this method is going to execute. This method body is like F1. F1 is going to call by passing like event object so that you can get it or not. That is the one.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Shall we go with the next one?
Sir, but indirectly you're loading the function also, right? So indirectly in the
No.
in that
No.
you're also calling the function, right? So
No.
why is it not being called?
No. Say this. This is my function. Function F1. This is my function F1. Console.log of F1 call. F1 call. Okay, done. If you write like this, F1, do you think it is going to execute? Do you think it is going to execute? If it is execute, my F1 call has to show, right? No, you returns one function. That function body is this one. That's it. When this body is going to execute, anybody call this function, then only that body is going to execute or not. For example, you put like this. Now my A, if you call, then that time only that body is going to execute or not. Yes or no? Here you given this one. You given this particular function to this guy. When it is going to call, whenever on change is triggered, then only it's going to call, then only my function change is going to execute or not at first time.
Okay, got it. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Shall we go with the next one? Use effect. Okay. We'll provide videos. There is no problem at all. You can practice multiple topics also. Okay. Okay, you can take break for 5 minutes. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I want to know means why can't we achieve like before? Means we are going for arrow function. So.
No. In our discussion, okay, first we concentrate on classes. Okay, and then just we start with hooks. At the end, just we can say like, okay, class component, functional component, both are like same. Okay, starting onwards also we can start with hooks, no problem at all. Okay, but they introduced when this hooks 16.8 version. 16.8 version. Okay, starting they not introduced these hooks.
Yes. No, sir, my question is means on click we are using the syntax of arrow function. So we are passing event as an argument. But in previous in the counter example, you just pass a function. So
yeah,
here we cannot achieve like this.
No.
If
you can pass a function. Okay, you can pass a function, direct function like this also. But my requirement is what? I want to pass some argument, right? In this case, UID I want to pass it. If you pass like this, it's not a function, it's a function call now.
Got it, sir. Got it. Okay, sir. Got it. Solve, sir.
You want break or shall I continue? Shall I continue? If you want, you can take 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes you can take break then. Okay, meanwhile, if you have any questions, okay, 9:01, right? Okay, 9:10 you can come. Okay, meanwhile, if you have any questions, just let me know.
Sir, while in Saga we are, when we click on the link itself, the reducer will be loaded, right, sir? Means when I click on the Saga link itself, we
Okay.
are loading that Saga reducer, right? Is my understanding right?
Saga reducer at first time load only it's going to execute. First
Okay.
time load only, at first time load, not link or something. All reducers loaded at first time with the default data.
Okay.
Yeah. The difference between class component and functional component, you can say, like, before introducing hooks, you can say some differences. But after hooks introduced, there is no difference between my class component and functional component. Whatever we can do with the functional class component, yes, we can do with the functional component. That's it. Before hooks only, we can tell some differences. After hooks, there is no difference. I think both are like same. Syntactical difference is there. Syntactical classes looks like, function looks like. Functional wise, there is no difference. Okay, which one is the better one? If anyone asks, always you can say like a function. Easy to use, simply. Okay. Any other questions?
Sir, meanwhile, can you just explain what is throttling and currying? I just went through your JavaScript material. So,
Debouncing and throttling.
yeah.
Generally, debouncing, why we are going to use means, for example, I have one set which is there. Okay, most of the times it's a performance related stuff. This is my set, for example. Open with Play server. Okay, done. If I set something here, some people are doing like what? Okay, on fly is nothing but just he is setting something, and only he is going to set the items and he is going to show this one. Okay, instead of clicking on the search button or something. Okay, that type of requirement if you have, okay, for example, inspect it here for each and every key up on key up. Okay, one method has to call function set. Okay, here you can write this is my function set, open one and close one, console.log. Okay, tell me inside this function set which type of code you are going to write. My items are inside database. Okay, if you enter something, one request has to go to server and get that items has to display here or not, so that one Ajax request has to go or not. Ajax request. So if you come here, inspect it. Okay, gives me some error, fix that one first. Okay, now come here. See, for example, I am looking for laptops. If I put like L itself, one request go to the server, right? L is like a meaningless. The item name is like L. No, right? Yes or no? For every key of one request go to the server or not? Okay, now my requirement is, see, he is typing like this. Okay, Lenovo laptops. One key up to another key up, there has some lag is there. Okay, first he is entering like Lenovo. Okay, Lenovo. After that he gives like a pause. Okay, so one key up to another key up, the difference, the gap is like 200 milliseconds, for example, 200 milliseconds. Then only you can send one request to the server with this content instead of each and every key up. Understand or not? See, first he entered Lenovo, L. Okay, another key he entered within 10 milliseconds. Don't send the request. Another key he entered, one more 10 milliseconds. The key up to key up gap is how much? 10 milliseconds only. Okay, don't send it. Don't send it. He pass it. Okay, Lenovo, he gives some gap. Okay, the gap is how much, you know? Okay, Lenovo, after 200 milliseconds, he put like L. In the time, you can take this content, now you can send the request. One key up to another key up, the lag is like, you decide that time. Okay, 100 milliseconds or 200 milliseconds, that much lag is there, then only you can send it. For each and every key up, don't send the request, that's it. For that purpose, performance related stuff. For that purpose, you can go with the debouncing.
Okay.
Okay, now for example, here itself, then you can go with the throttling, means concept is like same. For example, this is resizing. Okay, resizing. If I put like 1 pixel resize also, one method is going to trigger. On resize event is going to trigger. Okay, if it is like a mobile, 500 below, I want to perform some operation. Okay, 600 below, I want to perform some operation. Okay, 600 below, 500 below, I want to perform some operation, means do you want me to put like 690, 599? Okay, each and every pixel on resize is going to trigger. Do you want me to call that method? Do you want me to call that whatever the functionality you written? Do you want me to call it for every pixel change? Okay, it's not a recommended one or not. Okay, you can give some lag. Understand or not? Okay, key up to key up lag is like 200 milliseconds. Then you can use like a debouncing. Here, this type of scenarios on resizing. Okay, and one more thing. Here, if you see the Facebook or Twitter, okay, scroll is there. Once my scroll come here, then only we are going to send one more request to the server. That type of things also there, right? We are going to handle by using throttling. Okay, these all things by using set timeout only. Okay, if you come here, just you can write like this. This Ajax request should not go for every what? Every key up. Okay, so how we can write it? Just you can write like a set timeout. You can write like a function. Open one and close one. Then here, how much lag you want? 200 milliseconds, for example. After 200 milliseconds only, this one has to call. Will it work? Can anyone tell? 200 milliseconds. Will it work? Okay. Now if you come here, it will not work. See this. 4 letters I entered. Yes. The 4 requests going, right? Okay. With some lag, there has 4 requests went. See this. X, Y, Z. Okay. X, Y, 2 requests went, right? Okay, my requirement is not like this. Here, Lenovo is there. Lenovo. See, how much text is there? 3 plus 3, 6 requests went, right? Okay. There has some lag is there. With that lag, every time this method is going to call or not? Every time this method is going to call or not? It's not work. Then how we can? How we can means very simple thing. Right. Timeout. Okay. Timeout variable. Okay. Set timeout. Set timeout. Same like set interval only. Returns one identity. Just clear this timeout here. Clear timeout. Can anyone explain this code? Okay. Now see. Okay. First, will it work or not? We'll check. Okay. It gives me some error. Timeout. Okay. This is the one, right? Okay. Just you can create a timeout variable here. Let timeout. Okay. Now refresh my page. I enter this much. Yeah, how many requests went? How many requests server? Only 1 request or not? Okay, now can anyone explain this code? It's like a debouncing one. Okay, see, very simple thing. For every key up, this method is going to call. Okay, no one can stop. Why? Because the event is going to record, event handler method is going to call. Okay, here what you did is clear timeout. My timeout clear. Okay, one more timeout created. When this method is going to execute, okay, after 200 milliseconds or not. After 200 milliseconds, this method is going to execute. Within 10 milliseconds, again, this method is going to call, right? So that what happened? This timeout is going to clear it. To execute this method, how much time it will take? To execute this callback, how much time it is going to take? 200 milliseconds or not? After 200 milliseconds, this method is going to execute. Okay, but what happened? Within 10 milliseconds only this method followed, right? Then the time what happened? With 190 seconds left to execute this method. Within 10 seconds, okay, within 10 milliseconds, this method is going to execute. Again, you are going to clear the timeout or not. So timeout cleared, previous one. Again, new timer is going to create. Okay, again, new timer and clear the timeout. Again, new timer, again, clear the timeout. When this method is going to execute, if this method is not called in between 200 milliseconds, then only this method is going to execute or not. Like that, it's going to work.
So for debouncing, we can say in order to execute the latest request, we use the debouncing. And if we want to execute all the calls with fixed interval, then we go for
you can say like, okay, performance optimization. First, you can say you can reduce the number of function calls. Okay, you can say that one. We can reduce the number of function calls. This method is going to trigger how many times? This particular one. Okay, this part you can write in another method. Okay, that method is going to call how many times? For example, this is the one function Ajax request, right? Okay, this is my function get. Okay, products. Okay, this method is going to call. Okay, from here, function get products. You can write function get products. This is my actual Ajax request method. This method going to execute how many times? How many times it is going to execute based on your requirement. Okay, if the debouncing is not there, debouncing concept is not there, for every 200 milliseconds leave it. Every key up it's going to trigger or not. We are going to reduce this particular function calls or not. Function calls. Okay, how many times it is going to call. Okay, that one only we written here. I guess. This is the one. Okay, we are going to implement the debouncing to optimize the performance of your application by limiting the number of times the call a function. We can achieve this performance by using web application. That's it. Okay, this is the function. Okay, this is the actual one. Okay, this one, which method is going to call? Function debounce is going to call every time. Okay, we are going to reduce this one, function call or not, function shits. This is the actual function, functionality wise. Okay, this method I don't want to call every time. Okay, we reduced the number of calls or not.
So what we are doing in throttling, even throttling
Throttling also same, but the thing is, it's not like a key up to key up. First, this method is going to execute, right? Function set. Okay, this method will execute after 200 milliseconds. Okay, method call to method call, that is the throttling. Not key up to key up, method call to another method call. Okay, here, physically, one element is there to perform this operation, key up operation. But here, in this scenario, the event is triggered what? On resize. One element is not there. Okay, to do some operation, element is not there. Now, how we can? One function is there. That function has to call first. After how many seconds has to call? 200 milliseconds. In between, you want to do whatever you want, you can do it. Exactly 200 milliseconds completed. Again, it's going to call.
Okay.
Okay, that is like throttling.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, then, shall we go with the next one? Yeah. The next one is like use effect. Use effect. Why we go for use effect? One word, one line answer. Why we go for use effect? In anyone? To handle life cycle methods or not, to manage the life cycle methods. How many life cycle methods? Multiple life cycle methods is not a matter. Okay, don't handle all these life cycle methods. No need to handle. Okay, those important life cycle methods they handle what? You know, for every phase they handle one life cycle methods. Mounting. The next one is what? Updating. The next one is what? Unmounting. That's it. Unmounting. That's very important also. Listen carefully. Mounting phase. In your class, how many methods executed? Constructor, get derived state from prop, The next one is what? Render. Okay, the next one is what? Component did mount. Yes or no? Okay, here somebody asked like there is no need to import any library. Yes, there is no need to import any library. Why? Because that is inside React library only. Okay, that is inside React library only. It's not like a third-party library or something. It's not like a third-party library or something. All hooks, all predefined hooks inside your React only, React library only. Okay? Okay then. Mounting. 4 methods are there. Okay, which methods are important? Okay, which methods are important? Which method is important in mounting phase? Can anyone guess? General. Okay, component did mount most of the times we are going to use or not. Component did mount. Component did mount. Okay, why we go for component did mount? Render method. Render method also important, but render method what? Returns some content. Here also, by default, whatever my function is there, this function only acting like a render method itself or not. This method only, right? Returns what? Returns some content. See, constructor. Yes, this is only the constructor. Okay, my render method also, this one only. Get derived state from prop, leave it. Okay, which one is there? Which one is there? Remaining method. Constructor, this one. Okay, render method, whatever it can do, that one is done by this method itself. So 2 are handled. Okay, which method is there? Pending. 2 methods are pending. One is like what? Get derived state from props. Another one is like component did mount. Okay, get derived state from prop. Another one is like what? Component did mount. Okay, get derived state from prop, they not implemented. Okay, only they implemented get component did mount. Why we go for component did mount? When exactly is going to trigger? Can anyone tell? When exactly is going to trigger? Component did mount. Component did mount. Okay, after mounting or not? After mounting is nothing but once my code rendered inside the browser. After that, if you want to perform some operation, then you can go with what? Component mount or not. Inside the component mount, which type of functional we are going to handle? Can anyone tell? Which type of code we are going to handle? Okay, Ajax request or not? Ajax request. At first time load, if you want to send any Ajax request, that type of code you can write inside the component did mount. Okay, done. Updating phase, which method they execute? Which method they implemented? Update. How many phases are there? 3 phases. Okay. Second phase is like updating phase. How many lifecycle methods are there? If it's like a class, get derived state from error, get derived state from props, next should component update, next render, next get snapshot before update, next get snapshot before update. After that, component did update or not? Component did update or not? Within this file, one method only related to my updating phase. Which method exactly? If you talk, component did update only or not? When my component did update is going to execute, whenever my updations are happen, after that if you want to perform some operation, then you can go with what? Component did update or not? Yes or no? Okay, whenever the changes are happen, after that if you want to perform some operation, see, once my mounting is happen, after that if you want to perform some operation, then you can go with this one. Once my updating is completed, updation is completed, after that if you want to perform some operation, then you can go with what? Component did update or not. So the implemented component did update. Okay, the next one, unmounting. Unmounting, how many phases are there? How many methods are there? Not phases. How many methods are there? Updating phase. Anyone? Component. Come on. Will unmount. Only one is there. That one only they implemented. Only one is there. That one only they implemented. See, for every phase they implemented one method. For mounting phase, they handle component did mount. For updating phase, they handle component did update. For unmounting phase, they handle component will mount, will unmount. But the interesting thing is here, these all phases they handle by using which hook? Use effect hook only or not? By using which hook? Use effect hook only or not? Means by using use effect hook, by using what? Use effect hook, you should have to handle how many methods? 3 methods or not? Component did mount, component did update, component will unmount. Okay, how we can syntactical, how it looks like, we'll see now. Understand? Okay, now my hooks are which type? Hooks looks like what? It's a class or it's a function or it's a variable. My hooks are like what? All hooks are like functions only. All hooks are like what? Functions only. You see this? This is what? A function or not? Yes or no? All hooks are like what? Functions only. Okay. And one more question. Inside this function, how many times you can write use state? Inside this functional component, how many times you can use this use state? How many state variables you can create? How many state variables you can create? Any number of state variables you can create or not, so that you can write one more state variable also here, no problem at all. That constant, okay, right? No problem. Name, set name, React.use state. By default, it's like a such. Okay. Now, at the time of clicking on this particular button, okay, my name is like a Sachin. My name is like what? Sachin. Now, when you come here, open with live server. Okay. Now see, this is my Sachin. Here, I have one button is there. If I click on the button, my Sachin should change like don't. Okay. Here itself, I want to write one button. Okay, change name, change name, and close my button. Close my button. Okay. Now come here. This is my button. At the time of clicking on the button, I want to make it like don't. Can anyone tell how we can write the code? I don't want to create one more function here like this. Here itself, in a single line, I want to update. Can anyone tell how we can do it? Come on. On click, it should come on, right? At the time of clicking on the button only, I want to perform some operation. Here, there is no change. Okay, next. Any event should bind it with one event handler. This is also common. Okay. This is my event handler or not. Okay. Now, next one. I want to update this name, right? If it is like an arrow function, you can write one statement, right? Can we write this statement here, set name, updated with what? Dhoni or not? That's it. In a single line, completed. Now see? Yes. Read or not? Instead of writing one more function, just do that operation. If it is like a single line, do it here itself. Understand? Okay, so you can say like what? Any number of state variables you can create. Any number of state variables you can create. Okay, these are the different ways we can call your event handler method or not. Okay, this is direct call, and here itself you can call. Okay, and next one is like this also we can call it or not. Like this also we can call it. Okay. So next one is like use. Okay. Now this is the one. This is the one. Okay. Just concentrate. It's very simple thing. Remove everything. First, after loading the content, I want to perform some operation. Okay, after loading my content, I want to perform some operation. Then we can go with what? Component. What? Component did mount. Component did mount. So that write some content here. Okay, h1. Write some content. h1. Hello world. Hello world. This is my content, for example. Okay. Once this content loaded, okay, after that, I want to perform what? I want to perform some operation. Okay, that is my requirement. Now inspect it. Inside the console, okay, once this content loaded, after that, can you show me my component did mount method executed? Like this, can you show it? Okay, first show it. After that, we'll see some functionality. Okay, come on, how we can write it? By using which hook? By using which hook? Which hook we can handle it? By using which hook we can handle it? Okay, by using use effect is the hook. So that can we write the use effect? Okay, right. React dot use effect. Use effect is my hook. Okay, done. After loading my content, I want to perform some operation is nothing but you can write. You have to write some statements, right? I want to write some operation is nothing but yes, For that operation, you have to write some statements. Can anyone tell in this particular use effect, in this particular statement, where you can write some statements? Can statements are there? Where, how we can write it? How I can write that some statements? Is there any places there to write the statements? But still I need it. Why? Because I want to perform some operation. After that, content loaded. After content loaded, I want to perform some operation. Can anyone tell? So the syntax tell me, general thinking. I want to perform some operation, right? Yes. Okay. You should have to pass one function as an argument or not. That's it. Okay. That statements you can write here. Console.log of what? Okay. My component it mount executed. Okay. Now see this. If I refresh my page, is it really executed or not? Yes. A component it mount executed or not? Okay, which one is the constructor? This one is the constructor, right? At first time load, console.log of constructor executed. If you write like this, yes, you can write it. Now see this. Once my constructor executed, after that, this content is going to load it. After that, my component is not executed or not. Agreed? Okay, it's not a constructor, just you can say. If it's like a functional component, the component of functional class, that function itself acting like what? Constructor or not? Agreed? Okay, okay. But there has some issue with this one. There has some issue. What is that issue? I will tell. For example, I have one simple state variable, you can take it. One state variable, you can take it. How we can React.useState. This is my state variable. So my variable name, how we can write it? Okay, here itself you can write it. Okay, my whatever the name you can use it. Set the name. Okay, my requirement is something different. Okay, I will write different requirement. This is my input, right? This is my input, right? Do you know Angular? Two-way binding. Okay, whatever the data you are entering, that data immediately has to show within my H1. That is my requirement. Okay, now from here, now see, you entering some data, right? Whatever the data you are entering, that is immediately has to visible here. That is my requirement. Can anyone tell how we can do? This is my data, default data. It's a state variable. The data has to change, that changes has to visible or not. By default, my data type is what? Empty string. Okay, you have to set the data. You have to set the data. Come on. What code change you want to do? At least line number tell. If you made any changes, that changes has to reflect immediately here. Anyone? If you made any change on change. Okay, this is my method. Okay, here set data. Will it work? Will it work? Will it work? Okay, then whatever the data inside the text box, that data you have to give to my set data or not. Okay, how we can get the data from this particular text box? You triggering an event, how we can get it? Event object. Perfect. Okay, how we can get an event object? This guy get an event object or not? So here how we can get it? Event dot target dot value or not? Event dot target dot value. Here spread operator is not required. Why? Because you enter 10 characters. That 10 characters only latest one. That one only we can take it or not. Previous value and new value both are inside the text box only. Now come here. So the inside the console observe. Inside the console observe. What happened? What happened? At first time load executed, agreed. Once my content loaded, that means once my data mounted, one of the method executed, that one we can say like a component did mount, equal to component did mount. Okay, that is executed. This one I can execute like a component did mount. Now if you made any changes also, that method executed, right? Okay, what changes I made? State value changes. Any state change also happened, this method executed or not? It's like what? Updating also it's working or not? Okay, I already told you, my use effect working like what? Updating phase, okay, by using use effect only we can handle it. Mounting phase, I can handle by using use effect only. Unmounting phase also, I can handle by using use effect only. I said like that, so that it is only specific to what? It is only specific to what? Come on. It should be work like what? Only component did mount only or not. It should not work like component, but component did update. Agreed? So how we can write it? Okay, how we can write it? Means very simple thing. My use effect take one callback function as an argument. My next one argument is there. That one we can say like a dependencies, like empty dependencies. We can put it empty dependencies array. Okay, now if I refresh my page, first time executed, yes. Now you can confirm like what? Now you can confirm like what? My use effect working like component did mount only or not. My use effect working like what? Component did mount only. If you made any updates, that method will not execute or not. Okay, this method is not executing or not. So if you want to write a component did mount, this is the syntax or not now onwards. Okay, I written 2. Okay, now can you check? See this. No error, nothing. No error, nothing. Okay, any number of use effects you can write it or not, but as a developer you should have to follow, okay, some rules. Okay, do you want me to write like 2 use effects? Is it required? Okay, 2 use effects for what? Same cause. Okay, for what? It's also component did update only. Okay, did mount only. Here also component did mount only. Then why I need to write 2 times? Not required or not? But if you write also, there is no problem. So you can write a simple statement like, or you can give a simple statement like what? Okay, you can write use effect any number of times or not. Okay, if I remove this one, it is acting like what? It is acting like what? It's acting like what? If I remove this one, it is acting like what? See, component did mount as well as component did update also. Component did update also. So that I want only for component did mount, so you can put like this. Agreed? So for good? First one is completed or not? Shall we go with the next one? Component did update. Okay, here what you want? You can send one request to the server. Okay, that is your wish. Now, can you go with the next one? There is something interesting. Use effect 2.html. Okay. Now, I want only component did update. Is nothing but what? Once my state updations are happened, okay, that updations are reflected within the browser. After that, I want to perform some operation like this. I want. Okay, then how we can do it? This one should work like what? Component did update. Okay, now the same one only. Okay, there is no other option for us. Okay, the same method only. How to use it? Will it work? Can anyone guess? Will it work or not? Can anyone guess? Will it work or not? Somebody said like yes. So, okay, I will run this one. Use effect, open with live server. Now inspect it. Go to my console. Okay, remove this one. Can I refresh my page? Is it the expected value? Is it the expected result? My component did update. When it is going to execute? Once my state changes happen, then has to execute, not now, right? Once my state changes happen, then only has to execute, not now. Then, okay, you have to write some piece of code or not. What code you want to write? Can anyone guess? Can anyone guess? Okay, very simple thing. First time, okay, this method is going to execute when? Okay, first time load. But our requirement is what? Any state change is nothing but don't think like our class component. State, all state values we are going to keep inside one state variable only. That is like all state variable inside this dot state only. This dot set state use it for what? To update any state variable or not. Here, my state variables are like separate or not. Yes or no? Okay, now see, if this state variable data updated, which state variable data updated? Can anyone guess? Which state variable data updated? Come on, think and tell. Which state variable data updated? Data. This state variable data updated. Then only I want to perform some operation. One more state variable also there. Okay, for that I don't want. Okay, like this. Okay, first complete this one. So what I'm doing is write one simple condition. Very simple. So, my data is equals to this one. Is equals to this one. Don't do this. Okay, see now. Will it execute it? Data is equals to is not equals to this one. Sorry. Okay, see this. It executed. No, right? At first time load, this is not executed. At first time load, it's not executed. Now, if I made some changes, yes, it's executed. Will it working or not? Agreed or not? Okay, so it's working like what? Component did update only or not? But here, there is one issue is that, one problem is that. Okay, I will tell you. One more. Okay, this one is leave it. One more text box is there, for example. One more text box. This is your text box, right? This is your text box. This is your value. Anything, any example can you tell? State change example. Any state change example do you have? Okay. On button you can take it. Title change. This button. If I click on the button, this dot, or not this dot, function change, and we create a function here. Constant. This is my function. This is my function. I have one state variable is there, constant. Okay, here I can write like count. Okay, set count equals to react dot use state is like 0. If I change this one, just I want to update my count. My set count is like what? My count plus 1. Okay. Stock title, what is this title change? I will tell you. Okay, for now, see. If you made any change here, the state variable updated or not? Agreed? Okay. If you made any change here, okay, this state variable updated or not? That means this state variable is going to update or not. Now, if you come here, if I refresh my page, now first time nothing is happened. Okay, agreed. If I enter some data, okay, this state variable, okay, component did update is executed. If I click on this one, okay, see this. For this also my component did update is executed or not. For this also my component did update is executed or not. Any state changes happened. Okay, that particular use effect is executed or not. But the problem is here you written the condition for what? Data only or not. Now see, if I refresh my page, if I click on this title change, see this, my component update is not executed. Why? Still my state changed, right? Okay, if you want, you can see the count. See this. Yeah, my state changes happen. But still my component did mode is not executed. not mount, did update. Component did update is not executed. Why component did update is not executed means I written the conditions for the data. If my data is there, then only my component did update has to execute. Like this, I written the condition or not. So if you write the condition, then what happened? Can anyone? If you write the condition, it's going to work for only data or not. Okay, it's not work for my count or not. So they gave the facility to you like, this is the use effect. Is going to work for only data, right? Only data. So you can write one more use effect. Okay, this is for what? My count. This component update execute for what? Can anyone? Data. This component did update execute for what? For count change or not. Like this you can write it. Now my count is not equals to 0. Yes. Now see this. Okay, first time both are not executed. Yeah. Component did update execute for count or not. Okay, here also one problem is there. Component did update execute for count or not. Agreed? Now I enter some data. Now see here. Component did update executed for data also executed. Component did update executed for count also executed. See this. Both are executed. Two executed or not. It's not a recommended one. Okay, this particular component did update has to execute only for data change. This component did update has to execute only for count change. But here, both executed, right? See this. Okay, if you made any change, both data and count both executed or not. So that how we can specify this is the component did update only for data. Then the time the dependencies are set, right? Okay, empty dependency is nothing but what? Can anyone? Empty dependency is nothing but what? Huh? Empty dependency only for component did mount. Okay, here I want to specify this particular one has to execute only for data change. This particular one has to execute only for count change. The dependencies we have to pass it. Now see, it should work as expected. Now see here, yeah. Component did update execute for count change. Yes. Component did update execute for data change. Only data change. Okay, now if I enter only count change. If I enter only data change or not. Agreed? This is the way we can differentiate. Understand or not? Agreed or not? Yes or no?
Sir, that means use effect internally uses use state, but when that state has to update, is specified by use effect.
Yeah, when that state changes are happened, my use effect is going to listen that changes and call this callback method based on this dependency.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Now this doc title is there, right? Doc title. Where is this? This is the one. The title I want to show. Okay, that's it. That's my requirement. Okay, how you can write it? My document dot title equals to count is plus count. Okay, if it is like a title where you can show that title means here it will show. Okay, where is that? It's not visible. Yeah, count is like 3, count is like 1, count is like 2, count is like 3. Is it good or not? Yes or no? Okay, but my requirement is at first time load, my count should be 0, right? Okay, that one has to show. First time load, count should be 0. What do you want? First time load, count should be 0. I want to show as a doc title. First time load, if you want to perform some operation, then you should have to go with what? Then we should have to go with what? At first time load, if you want to perform some operation, then you should have to go with the component did mount. Okay, write something here. Okay, this is not required, or if you want to keep, you can keep it. Okay, remove this one. Component did mount. Okay, now when we come here, then I refresh my page. Yes. Yeah. Okay, now you can change it. Okay, now you can do the changes. All are working as expected or not? Okay, this is the way my component update is going to work. The next one, component will unmount. Okay, write it. Cancel. Component use effect 3.html. Okay, write one example for unmounting. Okay, after that we can think about the lifecycle method. Okay, just one component is there, make it like mount, unmount, like that. You can do. Can you do it? One component is there. I want to make it like mount and unmount like that. So we can first of all write one component. Constant. Okay. Unmount. This is my unmount component. This unmount component you can load. Here. Okay. I want to perform some operation like this. Input that is equals to checkbox. That is equals to checkbox. Okay, here return unmount. Okay, I want like both mount and unmount. Mount and component. Okay. This is my H1. Okay, here you can write mount and unmount component. How can we run? Open with server. Yes, this is my component. See here, if I click on this one, okay, by default it's visible is nothing but it should be checked. But checked is nothing but mounted, unchecked is nothing but unmounting. Mount, unmount. At the time of mounting, what you want, which lifecycle method has to execute? Component did mount. If I remove this one, then which lifecycle method has to execute? Component will unmount. Like this I want. Can anyone? How we can do it? Okay. Come on, how we can do it? First of all, this particular checkbox has to check. This method has to check, this checkbox has to check. How we can? Checked equals to true. Checked one property is there, you know, right? Yes. Okay, always it's like how to put it like true, no, right? Okay, if I click on this one, it should be false. If I click on this one, it should be true, like this. So this value should not be how to put it. So, come on. State variable you can take it, by default value is like true. Is checked. Okay, is checked. One flag you can take it. Set is checked is my function to update your state variable. That's it. Now the first port is done. Okay, visible or not? If I click on this one, it should be unchecked. Then can write one event on change. Write it. Come on. Set is checked. What do you want me to write here? If it is checked, I want to make it as like unchecked. If it is unchecked, I want to make it as like checked. Is checked. Value should be what? Should be not. Okay, like this or not. You can keep like not. Because my is checked is like true first time. Make it as like not. Is like false. And next time if you change, then the time it's like true. Okay, after that false, like this. True become like false become like now. Yes. Okay. Now based on that value, I want to mount and unmount. That's it. Okay, by using what? By using conditional rendering. Or not. Now say this. Yeah. This is on our requirement or not? Mounted, unmounted. mounted, unmounted. Okay. Now, which component is like mounting and unmounting? Which component is like mounting and unmounting? This component only, right? So in mounting phase, I want to execute something. Okay, so that where you want me to write that code? Use effect, open one and close one only for mounting phase. Then only for mounting phase, and we can go with this. Right. Console dot log of mounting. Okay, done. Now inspect it. Now go to console. From here, refresh. Yes, mounting. If I click on this one, just before unmounting this component, I want to perform some operation. That's my requirement. That means this is for what? Mounting phase. Already we discussed. Now unmounting phase has to do it or not. Okay, very simple thing. How we can write the unmounting phase, you know? Now take this one, same copy paste. My use effect take one callback function as an argument. Okay, that callback function returns one more function. Okay, here there is no place to write some code. Okay, here I'm going to write updating phase also. Mounting and updating, right? Two conditions, yes or no. Okay, one is like mounting phase, I can do it, and another one is like updating. Okay, another one also I have to write some piece of code, right? So that there is no space here. So they said like return one function. Okay, inside that function, okay, whatever the unmounted code is there, you can write that one. Whatever the unmounted code is there, you can write that one. Okay, so my use effect take one function as an argument. That function returns one more function. That particular function, return function, is acting like what? Component will unmount or not. Now check. This is my mounting phase. Yeah, unmounting. Mounting, unmounting. Mounting, unmounting. That's it. All are done or not? Agreed? Any questions so far? Shall we go with the next one? Use ref. See, you are returning this one to my use effect. Those people will take care based on your requirement. Okay, whenever this unmounted, this component is unmounted, then that time, okay, this particular method is going to call. Okay, if there is no return function is there, okay, there is no unmount. Okay, we handle all phases or not? Okay, done. Next one. Can we go with the use ref? It's very simple. Use ref and use context we can complete and we can wrap up. Tomorrow use reduce only. Only use reduce level. Okay. It's very simple. Use state or use effect. You can take it. Control C. Use ref. Okay, where exactly we are going to use ref? I have one text box is there. Okay, one button is there. If I click on the button, inside this text box, I want to place such. Okay, inside the text box, I want to place such. That's my requirement. Okay, so on click, you can write it. On click, function click. Now come here, constant function click, open one and close one. Okay, done. At the time of clicking on the button, okay, this text box has to fill it with section. That's my requirement. Okay, so how we can I use like ref equals to name. Just wait for 2 seconds. Okay, ref is not outdated, still it is working. They have not removed, but it's not recommended to write. Okay, on change you can use it. Okay, see here. Ref. In this case, ref will work or not work? Can anyone tell? Ref will work or not work in the functional component? Ref will not. Why? Because this dot refs variable only. By using this dot refs variable only, we can take the reference or not. This dot refs is coming from where? React component. Is the React component is there? Is my component is extends from React component? Is not a class component, right? It's like a functional component. Yes or no? Ref not use. Don't use that one. Okay, then ref with this one don't use. Ref with hardcode value don't use. Then you can create your own reference. You can create your own reference. How you can means constant. Okay, my reference equals to React dot use ref. Use ref. This is my reference. This reference you can give it to this guy. This reference you can give it to this guy. Okay, done. Now there is no need write like this dot refs. Already reference pointing to this text box. Take this reference. My reference dot current. Current is the property. Dot value equals to such and that's it. Okay. Now can you come here? Can you click on this one? Yes. We already discussed. Okay, React dot create ref one method is there. Create ref. Okay, create ref and use ref. Both are working like same. See this. Create ref we can use wherever you want. Use ref. Okay, instead of that one, you can use this one. More than that, nothing. Okay, you can create your own references. Then you can go with what? Use ref hook. Okay? Understood or not? Shall we go with the context?
Sir, for me, ref is showing like a deprecated method. Like I see a line through the ref wherever I use. Is it okay?
You can use it. You can use it, but in future they may remove that one. Okay. For now, they're maintaining. Okay, functionality wise, it's going to work, but it's not a recommended way. Better to go with on change.
But for you, it's not showing like crossed. I mean, it
I'm
means
using like
the
something different hook. Okay, different version. At the same time, this app should be React.use strict one component is there. Then only we can get that alerts and everything. This app enclosed with React.use strict. Maybe in your application that one is there. Okay, just you can check. Okay. Okay then. Why we go for use context? Can anyone? Come on, context. The same example I want, more than that, nothing. Whatever we did in the past, okay, that example only I want. Passing the data from my parent to all children or not. Who has data? My parent has data. So that this is my data. Constant name equals to such. Okay, do you want me to create like a state variable? Then you go for state variable. That data, if you change, that changes has to reflect within the browser, then you can go with. We are not required, right? One simple data variable, that's it. Okay, this data I want to give it to whom? Give it to my children's or not. So write some children's. My is like one children. Okay, this is what app. H1 app. Close my H1. This is what my H1. Yeah, close my H1. How simple it was, you know. Okay, to retrieve the data from to consume the data from context. Okay, total, how many are there? My app contains A. My app contains A component. Okay, my A contains what? B component. My A contains B component. This is my B component. My B contains what? C component. Okay, so this is my C component. This is my C component. My C contains what? D component. C contains D component. So finally, this is my D component. That's it. Inside the D component, I want the data here. That's our requirement. So run this one. Open it. Yes. Yeah. A, B, C, D. Done. Now come on, next. Through context, I want to pass this Sachin to all my children, A, B, C, D, direct or indirect children. Next, first of all, data is required. Yes, data is there. You have to give this data to my context. My context should be there or not. Context should be a global variable or not. Okay. Constant. Yes. How you can create the context? Can anyone tell? Create. Now to this context, I want to provide the data. So how you can provide the data? Can anyone? ctx dot provider. ctx dot provider or not. ctx dot provider. Now how you can give the data? By using which attribute? Value attribute or not. Okay. To whom you want me to give? To this guy or not. Okay. Now this data available to my A and their children or not. Okay. So which children want to take the data? This guy. How we can take the data? Can anyone? How we can take the data? ctx dot consumer. ctx dot consumer first, right? Consumer, and then we can think about our use context. Okay, here how we can write it? It's take one callback function as an argument, and it gives me the data while calling that data. You can return it or not. You can return it or not. This is the one already we completed. Okay, done. Now can you come here? Yes, my data should go from my app to D or not. Okay. Now my use context, when it's come to the picture, to consume the data or not. For example, my C component want to consume the data. So, right, use context is my hook. From which hook you want me to take the data? Not from which hook. From which context you want me to take the data? Already you provided the data, right? Okay, from which context? CTX or not? From this CTX context only you have to take the data or not? See, you consume the data from which context? CTX context. You can write any number of contexts also. You have to consume the data. Where is my data? My data is inside my CTX.com. Okay, from which context you want me to take the data? Just pass as an argument. Now, whatever the data they provided, that data they return. So, constant my data. That data directly you can use here. That's it. Proceed. Okay, this is some error. What's the error? Can you check here? Constant spelling mistake. Now, can I refresh my page? Yes. Okay, this is some error. That's it. Console. What is that? Use context is not different, right? Yeah. How can I refresh? See this, how simple it was. Consume the data, how simple it was. See, here this much code you written. Here only one line, right? From which context you want to take the data, pass that context name as an argument to use context hook. Which data they provided, that data is going to return by use context. Here, the data is going to provide to this callback as an argument. Okay. Here, they simply return that one. Once you return, can we get the data? Which one is the simple one? Which one is the better? Obviously, use context only or not. But the thing is, use context only work for what? Functional components only. In class component, you should have to follow this syntax only. There is no other option for you. Understand? Okay. Can I start use reducer? Are you okay? Don't worry, I will provide you the videos. First one part we can complete. Okay, I said like effectively manage. I can manage effectively. I said right. I can manage effectively what? State variables. That one I can complete. Tomorrow we can see what? Redux part by using use reducer. Okay, let's start. Yeah, I will provide. I get this video. I will provide. Don't worry about that. Okay, see this. Use reducer. Two things we can handle. One is like state management at component level effectively. Another one is like state management at application level. This is like Redux. Okay, leave it for now. Okay, only this part we can discuss. Okay, hardly 10 minutes. That's it. Okay. Here I need some Redux stuff. Okay, can I have some questions? First, where you maintain all your default values, where you maintain in your Redux, where you maintain all your default values, you are setting right, all your default values you are setting somewhere. Where you maintain within initial data, in the store itself, initial data or not. In the initial data, just we are writing like, okay, these are the variables I'm going to maintain within the store. Like this, you are going to specify or not. That data updated by whom? That initial data updated by whom? Yes, that initial data is updated by reducer or not. So that two things are required. One is like initial data, another one is like reducer. Reducer take how many arguments? Okay, that depends. Okay, two arguments or not. Okay, one is like your current data. Okay, another one is like what? Your action or not. Okay, if you know these things, by use reducer syntax, very simple. Okay, let's start. Now, where is that? That na? Or use it, which one you want to take it? Use the first one. Okay. Now remove all these things not required. Okay. This is my H1 here. Close my H1. One button is there. One button. Okay, multiple state variables. Can I give one example? I want multiple state variables. In our example, I want multiple state variables. Give me one example. I want to maintain multiple state variables. One example. No. Okay. You don't know, just leave it. Reactor use state, one of the state variable. Okay, this is the one. The next one is like another state variable is there. The next one is like another state variable. Okay, it's like on player name. Okay, set the player name. Okay, the next one is like hero name. Okay, hero name set hero name. Okay, another one is like another name. Okay, just the student name, set student, for example. Please. Okay, if I click on the button, okay, I want to set some hero name. Okay, the text box is there. This is the text box. And close my button. Okay, same like this. One more button is there. Okay, set the player name. Here, set the hero name. Here, set the student. Okay. Now come here, open fly server. Okay. This is the one. Text box. This is spelling mistake. Okay. This is my text box. Okay. Now, if I click on this particular button, Okay, this is my hero name, right? Then a hero name has to display here. Okay, here you can display like h1, h1. Okay, what do you want to show? My hn or not? Hn or not? Like this. The next one, player name. The next one is what? Student. Player name. And the next one is like what? Okay, here it's like player name, and this is like a student. It's not new for you. Okay, it's like simple. Okay, just I add multiple. Okay, this is one button, right? One text box, right? Text box, placeholder. Like this, how many text boxes are required? This is one, and this is another one. Okay, this is for what? Hero name, and this is for what? Student. Okay, done. Now come here. Can I refresh my page? Yes, it's like this. Now I need some gap between this one to this one. It's like on parent. Right on parent. Now here I close my parent. Here also I close my. Here also I close my parent. Now it looks like this or not? Okay. Set player name, set hero name, set student name. That's it. Okay. Next. Come on. On click. Okay. Right. On click. Equals to function set player. Function set player. Can I copy this one? Can I write the function on? Okay. Think more code is there. Think like this. Only one statement is there. Here you can write it. Think like that. Okay. 10 lines of code is there. Functionality is like 10 lines. At the time there is no need to write here. You can write the handler separately. Set hero. Set. Okay, here on click. This is another on click. This is your another on click. This is for what? Set student. Okay, function set student. This is for what? Function set here. Done. Okay, next. Anyone? At the time of clicking on this particular button, you can get that events. Okay, events. Done. Now here, set player name event dot target dot value. Okay, the same here also or not? Here also. This is what set hero name, and this is what set the student name or not. Okay, line number 36. What's wrong with this? Yeah, function set student. Na? Yes. Now it's okay. Yes. Done. Come here. Player name searching. Okay, not working. Hero name. Yeah, not working. So student not working. Okay, erase the pass. What happened? What's wrong with this code? Inspect it. Okay. If it is not work, then there is no other second thought. Just inspect it. Did you get any errors? Just check it. No errors, nothing. No problem. Go to source. Okay. Use reducer. Now, if I click on this one, this method not executed. Why? Can I go to the debugger? On change. No, na. At the time of clicking on the, yeah, you're right. See this. If you trigger an event, that event object is for button. Okay, not for text box, right? How we can take like event.target.value? It's obviously wrong or not? Did or not? On change you triggered on the text box. Okay, then the time you can get event object is like what, text box only or not? But in this case, you triggered an event on the button. Okay, so this is not right way. It is not the right way to take the data or not. So how we can get the reference? You know, right? How to get the reference? Can anyone? How to get the reference? Constant. Constant. Laser reference equals to react dot use with. You can use it or not. Like this. Can you create any number of references? You can create. Use with. This is for what? Zero reference or not? This is for what? Come on. This is for what? Zero STD reference or not? Now these references, yes, you can keep for my text box. Agreed? This is like a player reference. This is for what? My reference equals to what? My zero reference. And this reference is for what? My STD reference or not? Now once you get this reference, come on, my player reference dot my current dot value. Okay, the next one is this, next one is this, and this is what zero reference dot current. This is what student reference dot current. That's it. Now it should work now. Now come here. My player name is like a Sachin. Click on this one. Yes. My hero name is like a India. Click on this one. Yes. My student name is like Naresh. Click on this one. Yes. All are working as expected or not? But the thing is, for example, 5 to 10 state variables are there. Do you want me to create like this? Do you want me to create like this? It's not a recommended way. I want to create effectively by using use reducer. That is our goal. That's it. More than that, nothing. Okay. So that can we do it? Okay then. Very simple, yeah. Now I want this one also. I want this one also. I am commenting this one instead of let's just comment it. And then you can write by using use reducer, the same thing. Okay. You can refer both. Okay, done. First, this use state I don't want here. Okay, so that initial data you only told. Initial data how you want me to maintain? Come on. Init data in your Redux. In your Redux I'm asking. Init data. What? Come on. One object I taken. Player name empty. Next. Okay, this is an empty. Next. Student name is like empty. Okay, you created one initial data. Okay, now see it's equals to state variable, right? Inside the state variable you can write any number of properties or not. Same like that. Who can update this one? That is my next question. Who can update this one? Who can update this one? Okay, so I'm removing this one. Okay, observe. I'm removing this one. Who can update this initial data? Who can update this initial data? Who can update that? Store data, who can update? My reducer or not? Reducer or not? My reducer can update this data or not? Right on reducer. It's a simple method only, right? Constant. My reducer is equals to this one. Okay, done. This is my reducer. See, here you can write it. Here you can write it. Yes. My reducer ready. My reducer take how many arguments? Can anyone guess? My reducer take how many arguments? My reducer take how many arguments? 2 arguments. Perfect. Okay, what are those? My current state. Current state is nothing but initial data. The next one is what? Next one is what? Action or not. Okay, my current state. The next one is like what? Action or not. Now tell me, how many properties you want me to update? 3 properties. 3 properties. So that, can we write one switch condition? Switch my action dot to type. Okay, what is that? If it is like a player, what do you want me to update? What do you want me to update? My state equals to, come on, same syntax. State equals to, if it is a player, which property you want me to update? Which property you want me to update? Come on. PN property or not? With what? With my action data or not? That's done. Payload. Done. Okay, same like this. How many are there? How many cases you want me to write? One is like 0, another one is student std or not. If it is like 0, which property you want me to update? Hn. If it is like a student, sn. Finally, what do you want me to update? What do you want me to return? Finally, what do you want me to return? Return your state or not. Okay. Did you find anything new here? Anything new here in the reducer? Did you find anything new? In the reducer, did you find anything new? Okay, you want it, right? We are using like a switch case just based on the action type. I updated one of the property. Okay, I don't want to update only one property. Previous properties I want like that only, so that I'm using like a what? What is this? Spread operator. Okay, done. Okay, next one. Who can call this reducer? That is my next question. Who can call this reducer? See this. Setter. I already removed, right? I already removed this one. Okay, who can call this reducer? Who can call? Come on, general Redux style people I'm asking. Who can call reducer? My component may call, my action may call, my thunk may call, my saga may call. Okay, common thing is like who has data or who want to give the data to the reducer to update it in the store, that guy has to call or not. So who has data? See here, my set player has the player data to update into my store or not, here or not. Okay, at the same time, my set hero also has the data, hero data to update within the store or not. Okay, here also, this is the data to update here or not. So if you want to call this reducer, which method is required? That is my next question. Who want to call? You said it. Okay. Who has data? This guy has heroes data, players data. This guy has heroes data. This guy has student data. Okay. Who has to call? Okay. This is my data. Data or my player. Player equals to this one. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Here. My hero is this one. Okay, this guy has data. My student is this one. This guy has data. This guy has to dispatch this data to this reducer. This guy is going to update it in the initial data or not. So how this guy dispatch the data to the reducer? That's my next question. Come on. How we can call reducer? How we can call reducer? Can anyone? How we can call reducer? Perfect. By using dispatch method or not? How many ways we can get the dispatch? Store.dispatch. Connect method second argument gives the dispatch. Okay, thunk also give the dispatch. Is there any Redux store is there? Is there any connect method React Redux library is there? Is there any, the next one thunk is there? Nothing is there. Then how we can get the dispatch? How we can get the, if the dispatch is not there, then how we can get, or how we can give this data to my reducer so that dispatch is required or not? So the concept is what? If those concepts are replaced with user reducer, so my user reducer has to give the dispatch or not. So come on, now my user reducer come into the picture. So that my React.use reducer. Okay. Now tell me. Can this guy have the capability to update the store? Come on. Whenever this guy register with the store. So here my user reducer only gives the dispatch is nothing but this guy only, right? Store now. So that one has to register with this guy or not. So how we can register? If it is like a function, how we can we pass as an argument? So you have to pass your reducer as an argument. If you observe here, something is missing here. Can anyone find it? Something. Comparing with your normal reducer, something missing. Can anyone? First line only. Tell like line number also, 57. Yeah, please tell what's missing. Comparing with the previous reducer, combine. See here. My state equals to my init data or not. That is only right. First time initial data. Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. Now that initial data we not keep here. The initial data you can give it to my reducer. Give it to my use reducer. That guy is going to give it to my reducer. He will take care. Okay, you are not the person to assign. Okay, he will take care. Now done. My use reducer ready. My use reducer returns me as usual. Okay, my use reducer returns me as usual. One array. One array. One array. Okay, now this particular array has two values, a gamma. My second value is like a function. That function is like a dispatch. That's it. Agreed? Yes or no? Okay. Now see, at the time of loading this one, my reducer is nothing but this one. Okay. Initial data, whatever the initial data is there, that data he is going to assign to my state. He will take care at the time of calling. Just he is going to assign the data to the state. My state is like what? Default values or this one. These default values or this one. At the time of dispatching that action, then the time based on the player, that data is going to update or not. Okay, the syntax is like that. Okay, done. Now, okay, once you set the data within the store, okay, how we can retrieve the data from the store? How we can retrieve? You updated everything. My reducer updated the data. Okay. Okay, my data is inside store. You have to retrieve the data and you have to show to the end user, right? Okay, how you can retrieve the data? By using, okay, what? This store data. This is already stored within the Redux store. Okay, think like that. By using connect method, you can take it. By using get state method, you can take it or not. But here, connect method is not there. Get state method also not there. Get state method coming from store. Okay, connect method is coming from React Redux. Those libraries are there, not there. Then that time, these people only said like, hey, don't worry, I will give you, okay, my store data. Okay, this is my store data. Generally, store data we can maintain like what? State, current state. This is my store data. That's it. Understand? Okay, can I refresh my page? If I refresh, yeah, it's accepted only. Constant spelling mistake. Okay. Constant. Refresh. Again, HN is not defined. Why HN is not defined? See this. Here, HN is not defined. PN is not defined. SN is not defined. State variables are not there now. The data is inside store now. Yes. Okay. Now, once you click on this button, this data you have to dispatch or not. Already dispatch is there. So can we dispatch it? My dispatch is the method. Check how many arguments. Same syntax. How many arguments? Dispatch is the method which take how many arguments? Come on. Which take one object as an argument. How many mandatory properties are there? Type is the mandatory property. Type is the here. Okay, I will tell later. Okay, stick with that. Type is the mandatory property. Here, my player is my type, and then my payload is my what? My payload is my data player or not? Yes, done. Okay, now can we check it? Go to my stores. Okay, at that time of, okay, still it is there. Why is that? State variables you removed, right? Can we run again? This is my user reducer. Open with live server. Okay, inspect it. Now go to source. Okay. What happened? Okay, sorry. This is the one, right? We have to check this one. Okay, I'm checking the first one. Okay, commented one I'm checking. Yes, this is the one or not. Now I enter some data. Searching. If I click on the set players, It's not triggered. If it is not triggered, okay, don't worry. Just put the debugger keyword, debugger. Okay. Now the player name is like a Sachin. If I click on the set player, yes. Now see, it's in active mode or not. Now see this one by one. You take in the data. See this, my dispatch is this one. Dispatch is a function. My state is this one. Now you dispatch this data is nothing but it should have to go to my reducer or not. Yes, it should go to my reducer. Yes. Okay, see my current state all are like empties or not. My action is what? Payload is like Sachin. My type is like a player. Yes. Okay, so my first condition satisfied. So finally, if you come here, this is my state or not. See my player name updated or not. Yes or no? Okay, and then next one. Now my data is inside where now? Inside my state. The data my reducer given as a first argument or not. Store data. Okay, from my store, if you want, you can put like store only. From my store, I want which data? From my store. Okay, here reducer name not required. Okay, hero name kitchen. Okay, initial data store dot player name pn. The next one is what? My store dot yes. That's it. Okay, here can we dispatch this data here itself? Here also you can dispatch it. Here also you can dispatch it. Okay, here my type is like what? Hero is my type. Okay, here my type is like what? Yes, std is my type or not? Yes, std is my type. Now see, at the time of clicking on this particular student button, okay, you take in the student name, you dispatch the data. Once you dispatch, this will go to my reducer. Here my type is like std, so my sn is going to update with your data or not. That's it. Now can you come here? Will it work or not? Can you check it? Okay, search set player name. Yeah, hero. Set hero name. Okay, not working. Okay, no problem. Student. Okay, NIT narration. You can click on this one. Both are not working. Okay, you can check. Now go to source. Where is that? Oh, see this. Still, it's not reflected. It's nothing but not saved. Okay, hero name. NTR. Yes. Okay, still it's not working. No problem. Check it again. Go to source. Okay, now see this. Payload player. No, right? Payload hero. Okay, you copy pasted, but you did some mistakes. Player is not there. It's a hero. Okay, here it's a student. Okay. Refresh. Now see this. Player name this. Yeah. Hero name this. Yes. Student name is this. All are working as expected or not? Agreed? How my syntax looks like. Okay. My syntax looks like what? Same like reducer only or not? See here. Use reducer, take one reducer. Which reducer you want me to? You want me to acting like to update the data. Which function you want me to use to update the data? Update this data. Okay, that one you have to pass it. Generally, we are using like a reducer. Name is like a reducer. So that use reducer take first. My reducer as an argument, first argument. Okay, that initial data used inside the reducer. That one you have to pass like a second argument. Okay, up here, okay. Use reducer take how many arguments? 2 arguments. First one is like your reducer. Second one is like initial data. In the past, this initial data basically you are going to keep here. Now don't keep like that. Give it to use reducer. They will take care. My use reducer returns me what? To call your reducer, dispatch method is required, so that it gives me the dispatch method as a second argument. Okay, once the data updated within the store, you should have to get the data. Get the store data or not. My second argument is like a store data. That's it. Okay, once you have the store data, is nothing but this data. How you can get this data? Store.pm, store.hm, store.sm. That's it. Okay, but in your Redux, store.reducer.that, store.reducer.store.reducer. Like that. But here, store.direct we can take it. Done. Understand or not? Okay, 50% or 60 to 70% from your Redux only. More than that, nothing. Agreed? Any questions?
Sir, but we are using dispatch methods now, sir, to display the data. Dispatch we are using now, sir.
Yes, dispatch method we use. We dispatch the data. The second argument, if you want to use like B, you can use B, no problem at all. My second argument, my use reducer gives me the second argument is a dispatch method.
And store?
The first argument is like a store. Okay, is nothing but whatever the data you stored within the Redux store, that one is a first argument, data. Okay, this is your dispatch method. Okay, why we go for dispatch method? To give this data, dispatch this data to my reducer or not. So for that one method is required. Dispatch method is required. Dispatch method is given by whom? Reducer only. Okay, here store.dispatch is not there, func is not there, or connect method second argument is not there. So that my use reducer only gives my dispatch method as a second argument.
Okay, using this dispatch method, we are connecting to the store and getting the data.
Using this dispatch method, we are giving this data to the reducer. Okay, the reducer is going to update this data. This store is used for take the data from the store. This is the one. See here, two variables are there. One is like store, second one is like dispatch. Okay, how we can dispatch the data to the reducer to update the data? This is the data I want to update within the store. How we can update the data within the store? By dispatching the data to the reducer or not? If you want to dispatch the data to the reducer, which method is required? Dispatch method is required or not? So my dispatch method is given by use reducer. Okay, how they provided? As a return value. Okay, which return value? Array return value. In the array, which one? Second argument. Second argument is a dispatch. Okay, naming convention purpose I written like this. We can put like a B also, no problem at all. My B is acting like what? Dispatch. Understand or not? So simple. You have some data. I want to keep the data inside the store. This data to whom we have to give? Okay, leave this one. Who can update your store data? Can anyone? I have some data. The data I want to keep inside the store. Who can update? To whom I have to give this data?
Reducer.
Reducer. How we can give this data to the reducer?
With dispatch method.
Dispatch method. Okay. So if you want to give this data, if you want to store this data to the reducer, if you want to store this data inside my Redux store, you have to give this data to my reducer. My reducer is going to update the data within the store or not. So for that purpose, dispatch is required. So one input is required. Which one input? Dispatch is required. Okay. Give this one aside. For what? Okay, I have some data is there. I want to store it. Okay, next level. You already stored the data. Okay, I want the data. So that what is required? Store data is required or not? You already stored the data. I want to use it. Store data is required or not? Okay, how we can get the store data? By using connect method. First argument gives me the current state, as well as get state also gives me the current state. So that store also required. So without Redux libraries, I want to dispatch as well as I want store data. So that those two only provided by my user reducer. That's it. The dispatch method and store data. Dispatch method used for what? Dispatch the data to the reducer. Okay, store used for what? To retrieve the data from the store. Which data? HN I can retrieve, PN I can retrieve, SN I can retrieve. That's it.
Okay. Okay, sir. I'll check the code again and come back.
You understand? Okay, just go through this one. I will upload this video also. I will ask them. Okay, for now, just I will upload this code, test video. Just go through. It's a very simple thing. If you really understand the Redux, it's a simple thing. Okay then. Thanks guys. Thanks for joining. Tomorrow we'll see that Redux one. Redux by using use reducer, how we can implement. Tomorrow we'll see that one. Okay, day after tomorrow, just we'll see that two hooks are there, right? Memo and use callback. Okay, those two things we'll see day after tomorrow. Okay, then just prepare well all these things and come tomorrow. Just go through the topics, Redux and context. Both are required to manage your state management and application level by using user reducer. Okay, okay then, bye.
Okay.